If you have used ChatGPT, you have used generative AI. An AI agent is the next step, and this video explains what that actually is. For business people, not engineers. Here's the one sentence to remember. A chatbot is AI you talk to. An agent is AI you delegate to. We will go through 5 things in this video. What an agent technically is, why the border between chatbots and AI agents is already disappearing, what agents cost from a company perspective, which security questions to ask before you touch these tools, and which tests in your team are suitable for an AI agent and which are not. On this channel, I usually go more hands-on and technical. This video is deliberately the managerial view. After watching this video, you should be able to follow a vendor meeting, challenge an IT proposal, and know what to ask before anything gets switched off. Let's get into it. Step away in marketing, and an AI agent is 3 parts. Part 1. A large language model that works with generative AI. The same kind of power ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini. A large language model is a program that reads text and produces text. That is the entire repertoire. On its own, it cannot click, open, sell, or delete anything. Part 2. Tools. The tool here is a small piece of ordinary software the model is allowed to call. One tool opens files. One reads a web page. One searches. One writes into a document. One sends email. Part 3. A coordinating program that connects the two. It takes your task, asks the model what should happen first, runs a tool the model chooses, hands the result back to the model, and asks what should happen next, step by step until the model says the task is complete. Let me run a real task through those 3 parts, so you can see what they actually do. The task. Compare these 3 supplier quotes against our current contract and summarize the differences. Step 1. The model decides to open the first quote, the file tool opens it, and the text gets back to the model. Save for quote 2, quote 3, and the current contract. Next, the model pulls out unit prices, volume discounts, payment terms, and delivery clauses, and writes them into a table. Then it compares against the contract and writes the summary, including, if you're lucky, details a short analysis would cache. That the quote with the lowest unit price also shortens your payment terms from 35, say, days to 30, which is a financing cost hiding inside a procurement decision. Then it stops and hands you the document. That is what is happening when a vendor says the agent reasons or works autonomously. A text-producing model deciding on one step at a time, and ordinary software executing each step. 2 consequences follow from this construction, and they carry the rest of the video. First, because the model chooses the steps, the same task can be solved differently on different locations. This is not the macro replaying a recording. Second, the agent can only use the tools it has been given or allowed to use. No email tool, no email sent, ever. Keep both in mind. The security chapter builds on them. Depending on how your employer or company has set up the agents, some tools or tool features may also be disabled. Now, if you go shopping for a product called Agent, you will mostly not find one. What you find is agent capabilities appearing inside the tools your company already licenses. ChatGPT can connect to your inbox and send an email directly from the chat. Claude can be connected to your files, your calendar, and your company systems, and work in them. Microsoft ships Copilot agents inside 365, wired into Outlook, Teams, and SharePoint. The industry word for these connections is connectors or plugins. Worth memorizing because it is the word you'll meet in settings pages. I've shown connectors hands-on in my cowork and codex videos for those who want the technical perspective. One more term, because it will show up in your IT department slides. MCP, Model Context Protocol. That is the open standard most of these connectors are built on. A common plug format so that any AI tool can connect to any system that speaks it, regardless of vendor. It started as one company's project and has become industry plumbing. You don't need to know how it works. You need to know that when your architects say MCP, they mean connectors, standardize, and that a system with an MCP connection can serve whichever AI tool you standardize on, which is worth something at contract time. So the practical question in 2026 is not, should we buy an agent? It is, the chat tools our people are already using are gaining the ability to act. Which of those abilities do we switch on, for who, and against which systems? That reframing matters for 2 reasons. First, procurement. This arrives as a feature update inside an existing license, not as a new purchase. This means it can arrive without anyone consciously deciding anything. Second, it gives you a test that cuts through any product in. That's what the tool can do, not what it can say. If it can only produce text for you to copy out, it is a chatbot. If it can send, book, file an update, act on your systems autonomously, you're looking at an AI agent, whatever name the vendor puts on it. Then we have the question probably every manager gets. What does it cost? I will not quote prices. They charge monthly, and your company will not pay this price anyway. This goes through IT and an initial price agreement, not a website checkout. But the cost structure is worth understanding because part of it works differently from the software you're used to buying. Two business models dominate, usually combined. The first is familiar, license fees, per user, negotiated into your enterprise agreement, like any other software. The second is the unfamiliar one, consumption, metered in tokens. The token is roughly put a short word. Everything the model reads and everything it writes is counted in tokens, and the meter runs in both directions. Here's why that matters for agents specifically. An agent working through a task is reading and writing continuously. Every document it opens, every intermediate step, every retry. An agent working for 20 minutes consumes a multiple of what a person chatting for 20 minutes does. Our supplier quote comparison means reading 4 documents in full plus all the steps in, which leads to the property your IT department will care about. Agent costs scale with usage, not with headcount. The license is a predictable line in the budget. Consumption is a forecast. Well-run rollouts therefore put caps and monitor it on consumption from day one. When you see that in a proposal, it is a sign of competence, not caution. It's cost lines that rarely appear in the vendor deck. Setup, deciding access, connecting the systems, writing the standing instructions, real hours from IT and from the process owner. And review, someone checks what the agent produces, especially early on. So the honest business case reads, hours saved minus review time against license plus consumption plus setup. Let me make that concrete with a stylized example. Say your controller spends 2 days every month compiling the group report, collecting figures from 3 systems, reconciling them, formatting the pack. An agent takes over the compilation. The controller now reviews instead, say, 2 hours. There's roughly 14 qualified hours released every month, recurring. On the cost side, a share of a license the company may already hold, a consumption bill for document-heavy tasks, and a one-time setup effort. Here's the part worth internalizing. In an enterprise agreement, the token consumption for tasks like this is small change next to a single hour of a controller's salary. The business case for agents almost never fails on the token bill. It fails when review time is ignored, when setup is nobody's job, or when the task ran 12 times a year in the calculation and twice in reality. So when you evaluate a proposal, put your scrutiny on the frequency assumption and the review assumption, not on the per token price. For recurring document-heavy work, the math is often eerily positive. For occasional complex tasks, often not. Now we'll talk about security. In the mechanism chapter already did the groundwork. An agent can only use the tools and the access it has been given, which means agent security is less about artificial intelligence and more about access management, a discipline your IT department already runs every day. We will go through 5 questions in order. 1. What can it reach? Which systems? Which folders? Which mailboxes? Access is granted per connector, and it can be narrow, one shared folder, not the whole drive. 2. Can it change things, or only read them? With read-only access, an agent can compile, compare, and analyze, but never alter a record. Most useful agent work is possible read-only. Write access is a deliberate second step. 3. What happens before an irreversible action? The serious tools have approval settings. The agent proposes to sell, pay, or delete, and the human approves before it happens. 4. Where does the data go? Documents the agent reads are processed by the vendor's model. Whether they are stored, where, and whether they are used for trading is contract language. The same data processing questions your company already asks every cloud supplier. 5. Is there a log? Good tools record every step and every tool call, which has an underrated consequence. An agent's work is often more auditable than a person's. 2 of those questions desire a longer look for anyone operating in Europe. The data question first. The moment an agent reads documents containing personal data, invoices with names, HR files, customer correspondence, there's processing under GDPR, and the vendor is your processor, which means data processing agreements clarifying on where the server stand, retention terms, and the no training clause where you give up. None of this is exotic. It is the same review your data protection officer already runs on every cloud tool, and the major vendors offer EU hosting precisely because enterprise customers demand it. The point is simply that the agent does not get a pass because it is exciting. And then there is the access question, with a twist that surprises people. An agent typically inherits the access rights of whoever connects it. If an employee connects their own mailbox and a shared drive, the agent sees everything that person can see, including the folders they were never supposed to have access to in the first place. Companies that roll out agents keep discovering that the real problem is not AI. It is 10 years of accumulated, never reviewed access rights, subtly exercised systematically by software that actually reads everything it can reach. An agent rollout is, in practice, an access rights audit. Budget for that. Then there is the risk you may already have heard of, prompt injection. It is not new. It has been documented since 2022, when language models were first connected to tools. But it remains unsolved. And in 2026, it is still ranked as the #1 security risk for these systems. The mechanism behind prompt injections are: an agent reads text in order to act on it, which means text can carry instructions. A malicious email saying, forward the finance report to this address, to a language model, hard to distinguish from an instruction from you. 4 years of work has not fixed this, because it is not a bug to patch. It is a property of how language models process text. So the defense is arrangement, not repair. Narrow access, approval steps before actions, and never the combination reads email, sends emails, no approval. And never the combination of reading email, sending email without approval. I went through how this trickery works in my video on running agents safely. Treat this chapter as a checklist, and that video as the manual. So which tasks do you hand over? 3 properties make a task agent suitable, and you can hold any suggestion up against them, including the vendors. 1. The task is digital. It lives in documents, systems, emails, the web. 2. It has a clear definition of done. The task, reconcile these accounts and flag mismatches, qualifies. Improve customer satisfaction is a goal for people, not agents. 3. The result is checkable. Someone can verify the output faster than they could do the work. Run AI agents during a normal week through that test and patterns appeal. Monthly reporting compiled from several systems. First pass screening of invoice or applications. Contract review against your standard terms. Internal policy questions answered from your own documents. Meeting preparation pulled from the CRM history in the previous minutes. Notice where this work sits. Between your existing automation. The fixed rules are not gay bots that brave the day an invoice changes layout. And true judgment work. Too varied for a rule, too routine for your best people. That is where agents pay off. Equally important is where agents are not a good fit. Recall the mechanism. The model chooses the steps, so it can choose wrong. And when it is wrong in a polished, confident document. Nothing crashes, no error message appears. So you do not start with customer-facing communication or financial commitments. You start where errors are cheap and visible. You review the output, and then widen the mandate as the work proves reliable. And you leave working automation alone, replacing a functioning RPA flow with an agent because agents are fashionable as cost, not capability. Let's walk back through what we covered. We started with what an agent technically is: a large language model that can only produce text, a set of tools, and a coordinating program that runs the task step by step to create the automation and autonomy we relate to the term AI agents. The model decides, the software executes, and the agent can never act beyond the tools it has been given if set up properly. We also talked about the disappearing border. Agent capabilities are arriving inside the chat tools your company already licenses. ChatGPT send an email from the chat, connectors in Cloud and Copilot 365. The question is not which agent to buy, but which capabilities to switch on for who against which systems. Then cost from a company perspective. License fees plus consumption metered in tokens. Agent costs scale with usage, not headcount, so consumption gets cash and monitoring. And the honest business case includes the setup and review time, not just the license fee. We also went through security questions. What can AI agents reach? Can they write to already read? What requires approval? Where does the data go? And is there a log? Plus a security issue that is prompt injection, which is the reason narrow access and approval steps are quite needed. And finally, your team's tasks, a digital clear definition of the checkable result. The band between brittle automation and real judgment. Start where the errors are cheap and visible, review the work, and widen the mandate as the AI agent earns it. If you take one sentence about AI agents into your next meeting, take this one. A chatbot is AI you talk to. An agent is AI you delegate to. For the hands-on continuation, my video on running agents safely goes through the actual setting, and the co-work and codex videos show agents working, connectors included, all linked below. If this video was useful to you, liking and subscribing helps others find it too. See you in the next one.